Welcome back.
Hi, everybody.
Good to see you in the new year.
Good to see you. Happy New Year. Good to see you, Andre. Did you have a nice New Year?
Yeah, pretty good. Nothing special, but pretty good. No complaints.
Did you fall asleep after midnight or were you asleep before midnight?
No, what happened is that, and this hadn't happened in previous years. I have no idea why, but this year, right at midnight, there were these really violent fireworks. And, with it almost felt like it sounded like someone firing a gun, very loud.
Very
'Cause
that like M18s or something?
yeah, it went on for 15 minutes, and then it finally, cooled off. But other than that,
We had one like an M18 probably about 10 o'clock, and then after that, nothing, but I went to sleep.
yeah. So, what's on the agenda? The Supreme Court for sure.
People want to know about the Supreme Court. People want to know about the Ali Baba or Baba that you don't know about. She's the one that said the Supreme Court deserves to give Trump a break because he got them their jobs.
I know,
She
and
said that on live TV.
you always wonder how smart some of these people are. The way information moves around, this means the Supreme Court judges will hear that. And how is that going to just
If
using
I was a Supreme Court judge, that would piss me off.
right? That was where I was going. It's just a really bad idea. He doesn't have very good lawyers, at least not the ones that are on TV. I think that there are lawyers in the background doing pretty good work at stalling and coming up with sort of plausible arguments. But what is her name? Baba or Haba and the other
Ali
one.
Babbitt or something like that.
There are two or three that
Also known
constantly.
as duck lips.
Yeah, right.
She's the one that said that the judge could decide what was going to happen with Trump, and he was just flying over. He was so mad. But she could have checked the box that said they wanted a jury trial.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no way to know if that was what Trump was wanting to. You don't know. For all you
Right,
know,
right.
for some reason he thought it would be better. But at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me one bit their level of competence and so on that they would have forgotten to do it. So yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
But either
Exactly.
way, I think this thing with it never made any sense. The Colorado thing, they took it too. They could have said, "We'll let the other court." No, they took it because it doesn't make sense in that even though the Constitution stipulates that you don't need to be convicted, there are too many outs. They can just say he hasn't even been charged with insurrection, so
That's right.
it's a problem. I would say what's gonna happen is they're gonna let that. They're gonna say no, he can stay on the ballot, but I really doubt they're gonna agree to that whole immunity thing. This thing that
No,
he
they'll say that he's not immune. But
right.
I'm telling you, I don't care if he's on the ballot. He's still going to lose.
Yeah, I know. That's also true. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Um, so the NRA, Pepe Le Pew stepped down.
Hmm.
I predicted this a while ago. He's going in for a corruption trial. Did you happen to take a look see at him at any time?
I have not. I haven't looked at anyone, specifically in the last couple of weeks. The individual players. I've been totally focused on this thing with like what's the court gonna do because it's really critical. One of the things that I think is sort of favoring Trump is, and I can't understand this, it's gonna take them a month to rule on this, and so you think to yourself, what do you need a month for to rule on something? Apparently, arguments February 9th, that's a month from now. What arguments could there be? Yes or no? It just seems that in that sense, it's accomplishing Trump's game. But my sense of Trump from his chart is that he's still sort of okay, within an umbrella on the outside of that, which is very negative. And so in that sense, it's descending into a bad place. But till the spring, he may get
Always said
some
spring.
assistance this way. Then it starts to really become problematic at the worst possible point too, because that's when it's likely to end up in court. And
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. So
So
I mean, Wayne LaPierre. Thing about that guy is that you could see this coming for years because this guy he's been pumping the NRA up, but he's been caught in all kinds of scandals, and those things catch up to you. And so,
Buying those beautiful suits and don't going on vacation for a nonprofit.
yeah,
He stepped down because he knows he's in trouble.
yeah, and that's another thing, that particular topic now is helpful to the Democrats in 24 because it wraps around the whole problem with guns, right? And they can bring around the fact that it's a corrupt organization on top of being, you know, too pro-gun and everything. But this is the thing, that the NRA, the members, they're not as extreme as LaPierre. LaPierre has been pumping it up. A lot of the NRA members would be totally happy to see background checks and red flag laws, and even for instance restricting the big guns like the AR-15s, because a lot of those people, they don't own big guns. They just want to hunt, and it's not on the same level as Lapierre has been doing. But Lapierre saw an opportunity to make money and he ran with it, and it's totally remarkable that we're in an era where people like him enrich themselves off the members' dues. And much like you probably heard the thing, right, with Trump, that now it's come out that he was making money from China and from everywhere else. After they're always trying to accuse Biden, and I couldn't believe it on Fox. One of the women said something about, one of those pro-Trump women said something about how it was all connected once again to Hunter Biden's laptop, and of course that's when the liberal lady said, "What are you talking about? That makes zero sense." But yeah, there it is, right? Millions, and that's only the millions they found, because they pointed
They had
to
to
7 or 8
stop
million
because
dollars.
Comey came in. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's par for the course. I don't think, though, that any of that is going to affect Trump. Other than that, it's just one more piece of news that is out there, and it's already pretty well known. His major threat is the Jack Smith case. That's the one that,
How's Jack Smith been looking?
no, Jack Smith is, for the most part, he's winning. Yeah, he's fine. It does get, I will tell you, though, it gets pretty high pressure as we go toward the middle of the year, but you expect that. That's
Yeah.
an expected outcome. So, yeah.
Did you hear about them whining because he asked for a stay or I don't know what all? And then Jack Smith came in and and he said, "You see, he's not leaving us alone. He's coming back with all kinds of paper."
Yeah, no, and the thing is that Smith made the case that around immunity, someone had said this on my channel, and it's totally logical. If you say that a president is immune, then what stops Biden from putting Trump in jail? And
Exactly.
just say, arrest him and put him away. I'm immune. So
Yeah, that I don't see the Supreme Court voting.
no,
What's his name might do it though. Might vote in his favor. Thomas.
Thomas. Yeah, well, Thomas or Alito, they're the two that will look for any reason, to support their people. But I don't think it's enough. Like, see, when it all comes back to the cycles, the cycles are very unfriendly to Trump. They really are. Like, he's got some support. One of the cycles, it's why his base continues to support him. But you probably also heard that. Remember that back in October, that's what took Biden down. The Israeli conflict hurt his numbers, because a lot of, especially of the younger crowd, didn't like the support for Israel, so his numbers went down. But that already started to change. And when you look at the averages, they're pretty well neck and neck, and that's ahead of what will come next year, because the Republican case is very weak. And to those who say Trump is this really lucky guy, no, he's not. If he were lucky, the economy would be cratering. The economy is doing fabulous, right? The stock market is doing really well. Jobs reports, everything, gas is going down. That's not lucky. That's really unlucky. He would want to be able to say, "Oh, see, I told you. See, this guy's terrible." No, he can't say that. He
And
can't.
when they said Biden would come in, oh, watch us go into a depression, watch the GDP go down, watch this. Yeah, we're watching, sucker.
Yeah, we're watching. I know we're watching, but it's not happening. So then he has to come in with other things like Biden's cognitive powers. Biden, I heard him today, the speech that he gave, he seems totally normal.
I didn't get to see that speech. I imagine I could go on YouTube and watch.
No, and he said, by the way, he said, and the thing with Democrats is they don't get in the Republicans' faces enough. They give you so much to work with. He said today, and I would repeat this. He said, Trump told General Kelly that the people that died for Americans in the war are a bunch of suckers.
Right.
Said, how dare he keep bringing that up? What kind of person says
Yeah.
that? You want this as your leader? This is the person you want to follow? You know,
And John McCain was no hero because he got caught.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. You know how he likes to play the accordion.
Yeah, he plays the
Okay.
accordion.
Okay.
I know.
Jesus.
It's totally remarkable. I know.
I'll be
But,
so glad when we don't have to listen to him anymore. So
yeah,
Mark Meadows, are you feeling a lucky streak for, apparently you got a real good attorney.
yeah, well, I don't think it's going to help. Mark Meadows is in trouble. Mark Meadows is in the same bag as Giuliani, a little bit more sensible, but no, these guys are going to pay, and there will be more. I'm after Smith is doing the opposite of Merrick Garland. He's going from the top down. There are people there that are going to be, charged after Trump is dealt with.
So Trump will be charged for the January 6th insurrection.
Well, he's not charged for that. He's charged indirectly for that, but enough to get a conviction. That's
Okay.
the sense of Trump's
But
thing.
then they're going to bring in all the people who worked on this, trying to take over the government.
Yeah, people that were asking for pardons and things like that. Those people are vulnerable. So
And
I
they
don't-
know it too. You can't tell me they don't know it.
Yeah, no, people like MTG and Matt Gaetz and so forth. Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know if the astrology shows this, but they're dead set against helping Biden figure out a solution for the
Immigration.
immigration. They said they're not interested. If it helps them, we don't want to do it, and we'll shut it down.
Well, the only thing with that is that, once again, they're going into the election with a lot of indefensible positions because Biden will argue that. He's going to say, I'm offering, they're not buying. And he can even say, they have so little, these people have so little to work with. This is what they're tying themselves to, even though I'm giving them an out. I'm saying to them, take this,
Right? Fine. Yeah.
Then you even now have DeSantis, who is obviously doing very poorly, but he's now attacking Trump more forcefully. And he said that Trump wasn't even that good because Trump deported less people than Obama. I think that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
That's
He
hilarious.
should have deported more. It's so ridiculous. So
So I think we could very possibly get the government shut down. I've been feeling government shut down, but I felt like that was the blow. Like it's going to be a huge blow on Republicans.
you mean in the spring?
Yeah, coming up. Yeah.
Well, look, anything is possible when you have a person like this Mike Johnson character, who is really MAGA, and the pressures that he has within the caucus and everything. I don't know. My feeling is, you actually see a shutdown, huh? You see them like totally,
I have been. I hope I'm wrong,
yeah.
but I felt like it causes such an uproar that they have to turn around and do something about it.
And
But
maybe
Mike Johnson won't go in a back room like McCarthy, what's his name? Keith did. Remember, he went in the back room. That's why all those maggots were so mad at him. You made a deal with that man. How dare you? But he made a
Right.
good deal and he thought it was cool. And then they wanted him out. So now this guy, Johnson, doesn't want to be kicked out. So he'll shut it down. I'm telling you. But there's not that many people that want it shut down. He might get voted. It might become a vote that between Democrats and some of the Republicans coming on the other side will say, no, we don't want this. We want a budget.
yeah. I mean, my feeling with Johnson has been from the beginning. I don't have a birth time, but I have a birthday, and there's not a lot there to suggest. It gives me the feeling of someone that is going to try to stay smooth and not cause too many waves. Although he's caused some waves already because he said some crazy things and so forth, but not enough to do something crazy and go along with the MAGA people. And he already did. Didn't he already do one thing where he used Democratic votes because he didn't have enough votes, right?
I don't know. I
I
know
thought,
that they decided to impeach Biden.
yeah, well, they decided to move forward. I don't think that'll go anywhere. No, no.
No, I know it's not going to go anywhere, but he was on Fox News and the dichotomy was absolutely weird. Where, okay, the reporter said, "Sir, you know, the president has tried to work with you.
Mhm.
And he's offering 14 billion and he can do this and that. And you don't want to, no, that's not going to work." So what exactly is going to work, sir? Because nobody, no president, not even Trump, was able to figure this out. What are you going to do? Well, no, we just sooner shut it down.
See, they have to use anything they can because their case is so weak. And one of the reasons that well, everybody knows this, they're impeaching Biden to have that in the news as the counterpoint to all the trouble Trump is in. It's not that complicated. It's very, very
By
easy
the
to
way,
follow.
this was Trump saying to do this.
Yeah, to
It's
offset.
Trump saying you need to do this and you need to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that it's not enough. And we haven't even talked about the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room in 2024 is going to be women's rights. And when that starts to come into the foreground, there's no answer to that. None of them have an answer. All their answers are weak, and and some of them are insane. And even the ones that are trying to be sort of in the middle, they can't really say what the Democrats say. So then they're left with, a lot of women are going to say, we're not going to go there. This is too complicated, too negative, and that's enough to reduce the number of votes.
I've often felt the Republicans, just like this red wave didn't happen, I feel shock and awe again. I feel that they're quite surprised how many seats they're going to lose, how democratic everything becomes. Did you know Abraham Lincoln really wanted a gift he got? It was some sort of elephant from some other country, and he loved it so much. And do you know he went to Congress and asked permission to keep it, and they said no?
Wait, what was he? What are you saying? What was it that he was keeping?
Abraham Lincoln got a gift of a statue of an elephant,
Oh, okay,
and he
okay.
really loved it. He thought it was fantastic. So presidents can't keep gifts, especially from other countries. So he went before Congress and asked if he could keep that elephant, and they said no.
Well, we'll talk about changing times. And now there's Trump.
Oh,
There's Trump keeping everything and working the back room, and then sending his son-in-law over there and doing $2 billion deals. And I mean, it's really remarkable that the level of insanity in this country, that they're talking about Hunter Biden's laptop and trying to wrap that into Biden somehow, compared to all the money that the Trump organization ripped off. All of them, Trump, Ivanka, especially Kushner. It's remarkable, totally remarkable. But we're in
yeah.
that era. Remember, the overall, the driving force to all this is that those cycles that are similar to the Civil War, they pretty much guarantee that it's not going to be a smooth ride. And my sense of it is that they lose and they're sore, and it's going to be dicey for a while.
Okay.
That's how I would call this situation.
Now, can you even read on Epstein, or imagine that would be too difficult, Esther? He's dead. And
Right.
so the releasing of paperwork, which some of it is shocking, and names, um, was there big explosions? I think a lot of the people we already know.
Yeah. Well, the thing with if I'm recalling from memory that Epstein was an early Aquarius. He was really at the very beginning. I think it's late January somewhere when he was born, and that's where Pluto is going. So this topic, I think, is going to stick around all through the election. I don't think you'll see that go in the back room. And I don't know. Well, with Trump, that area is problematic for him, the early Aquarius where Pluto is. But I don't think that'll be the biggest thing that'll take, because Trump has every single thing Trump is involved in, and you kind of this is his secret, by the way. If you crime everything, then like which crime do you want to pick? I think the one that is most threatening to him is is Jack Smith. Although, what do you see about the other one, the one with New York? Do you have a
Oh,
feeling about that?
oh yeah, she's gonna get everything she wants. She's gonna get that money and he will not be able to do business in New York anymore. Did you hear that? Letitia James has requested millions of dollars to be taken and he cannot do business in New York anymore.
What do you feel about the other one, the other New York with Alvin Bragg? Because that one, you know what could happen if Trump succeeds in if he succeeds in delaying, because now the thinking among the really sharp legal scholars is that they're throwing so much paperwork and motions and all this stuff, and you already seen the Supreme Court looking at it in February. That March date that Judge Chutkin, the what's her name, Chutkin, uh,
Yeah.
she wants to do March, but there's strong thinking that it might go into May or June, but then that leaves March open for Alvin Bragg to take the case, right, and go through that. And the whole idea is that when the territory is hostile to Trump, and it is, that's the thing that people have to realize. This is really hostile. So something or other will be in there to keep him under tremendous pressure. I would be really surprised if he was able to go all the way to the middle of the year, escaping being in court and so forth. And there were even people that were saying that Eileen Cannon was trying to block Bragg by pretending that she would keep it open and
Uh-huh.
right. But my feeling is that something in March still happens, even if it's
Yeah.
not, even if it isn't um, the Jack Smith trial, which is the most important, the other one.
Now, the Eileen case, that might not happen until till the presidential thing is over with.
Yeah, that's true.
And
That's totally true.
he did not win. Now, if he takes off, then what do they do? But they'll be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this man sold top secret information to other nations. He is a traitor.
Well, I thought that it was pretty interesting that Jack Smith used that as one of his examples to the Supreme Court.
He is a
So what
traitor.
if a
That's
president?
what he did.
So what do you think they have evidence of that though? I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, well, yeah, the CIA did. The CIA started losing their intel out on the field. And they said, we have a mole. And they were trying to figure out what the hell was going on. Ended up, it was Trump and Jared selling information. Like Jared passed off the information how to get a hold of that reporter.
Yeah,
They
no,
paid him well for that.
nothing would surprise me with this group. Nothing at all, because
But
it's
the CIA was flagging it, saying, we've got a mole. And little did they realize it was the president of the United States. Think about it. Why was he so anal about needing to receive all this information?
yeah. Well, the thing with Trump. I mean, if you want to understand Trump, if there's a dollar to be made somewhere, I mean, look at the guy. He'll sell statues, cards, coins with his face on them, anywhere where there's money to be made, even including, I think when he lost that election, what he saw immediately were dollar signs because he noticed, oh, I can ask them for money to try
Yeah,
to defend the election, and then immediately, he can't resist the flow of money. So
right.
it wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Even Scotland is taking over his golf place and won him out of the country.
Well, I mean, the main thing with Trump is that it's bad now, but 25 is worse, and that's the tell. That this is going nowhere good. And remember, we've talked about this in prior meetings where it wraps in really neatly with the fact that 2025 is not good for Putin, and Putin
Oh, yes.
desperately needs Trump to win because it's the only way. If Trump loses, and but then if you put that together with the fact that Zelensky's chart really improves in the middle of the year, well, what could that be,
Well,
right?
I was going to ask you about Zelensky. Improve in the middle of 25, 4?
Four, yeah, like around May, June, it improves, things pick up, and then he's got a full year where the flow is much better. Why? Logically that would
Yeah.
suggest, right, that things keep going. The other thing is that Ukraine. What I read is that the U.S. is stuck right now because of the Republicans, but in Europe they're pretty determined. I saw 50 billion as a figure that they're gathering together to continue
Well,
to support.
Japan already gave them 1 billion.
Well, this was 50 billion from the
Wow.
European Union. So they're pretty serious about pushing back on Putin. And if you recall, and this was, I have to admit, it's fascinating. I should have known because it's just that I'm not as connected to this particular approach, the big cycles. But that astrologer that I had on, Dan Waits, he noticed, paying attention to the things that other, my namesake, Andre Barbeau, the guy that had predicted the pandemic, he was really good at tying countries to planets. And he's
Yeah.
the one that had said Saturn, Neptune, Soviet Union. And I sort of thought, well, yeah, okay, well, what would it be? Well, yeah, in past conjunctions, Russia goes through major changes when Saturn and Neptune come together. And they do that in 25 and 26. Now, that looks really suspicious, right? Because I don't see how, Russia is they have the GDP, their gross national product is less than Italy's, right? They're
Right.
like, wait, I mean, they don't have the capacity to withstand all these European countries plus the US putting pressure on them. So if you try to convince me, well, yeah, these two planets get together and this means Russia is suddenly the big empire, no, I'm not buying that. It makes a lot more sense with Putin being pressurized then that they have to make a change and tone it down and start to approach it in a different way than the way they've been. That's how I would call it.
Right. So
Yeah.
did you see anything with Iran?
No, Iran, I haven't looked at. This is the thing that I mean, I wish that there were charts for everything. I mean, that'd be great.
know.
That'd be the dream of an astrologer. But you're trying to look always for charts that make sense, and many times there's nothing to grab onto. There'll
Well,
be multiple
everybody has
dates.
their own course, but there's some psychics that said we're going into World War III this year, and I don't see it at all. I know when that bombing occurred and Iran was blaming the United States and Israel, come to find out it was somebody else. Was it the Ayatollah? Who was it? Not the Ayatollah.
What in recent?
Yeah, they just had a bombing and a bunch of people were killed at some gravesite. And they blamed the America and Israel, and then somebody came forward and said, no, it was us.
See, they always do. But the thing about this conflict, and again, this is not a taking sides thing. This is just realism. Israel is armed to the teeth. If they are totally armed to the teeth, so even if Hezbollah attack from the north in Iran, they're gonna just fight back with all of them. And also, there's the U.S. is there, so you know what the U.S. has been doing. Well, we don't want to provoke, but they shoot back.
Oh, listen, we've already took out up half their jets, Iranian jets.
Exactly. So a lot of these countries, they make a lot of noise, but if you start firing back, they tone it down. So I doubt it. I really doubt it that
Yeah, me too.
these fears. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
There was one good thing about Trump was when the Rocket Man was threatening him, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And Trump, of course, can't be scared. And he said, yeah, go ahead, Rocket Man. We've got a military beyond militaries. We will blow you out of the water. And he meant it. You know how he is. Just
Yeah.
tell him. And all of a sudden, Rocket Man, Kim Jong-un, was loving towards him and they became good friends.
Yeah. Although it's
You
pretty
see how
sad.
it changes when you say, that's what I always thought, these little countries threatening. I thought we can just take them out of the water.
Yeah, it's not a good plan. No, not at all.
But I was watching something on World War II and you know how we dropped the bombs because we knew we'd lose about 400 military if they went into Japan. We were getting ready to take over. Russia was also getting ready to go in. And then we bombed those two cities. First one was what?
Hiroshima.
Hiroshima. But what date was that? Do you remember?
It was August of 1945.
August 6th.
And
August
then
6th.
they bombed Nagasaki.
August 9th.
Yeah, right.
And then Russia was coming in. Russia wanted the goods in Japan. They were coming in for, to grab what they could. And the emperor, who wasn't going to, he had an opportunity to say, what, wave the white flag to Russia. But he said, oh, hell no, I'm going to go straight to the United States because they'll still let me be emperor, because Russia was going to say, oh, hell no, you're not going to be emperor. We're taking over. And I guess the United States said, sure, you can still be, but you have to follow these rules. But I never knew that happened.
I know there's a lot of information. We're in an era when you can really learn, a heck of a lot about. I came across this one where Hitler enriched himself. He was selling Mein Kampf, that book, and he made millions by basically taking all the money. It was being produced by the government for him, and he basically put it all in his bank account. And those are facts in history. He was also into art, and even though he could only paint scenes,
He thought he was going to be an artist too.
he couldn't paint people. He could only paint the buildings, and it just kind of shows you what Hitler was about. But yeah, there's a lot of that, and the thing with this is that I think what worries people in current times, and this I've said many times, and that there's no worry. It's just that you have to be patient in world politics. Instead of weeks, months, it can take years. But the point is, this is not friendly territory. As we move into the middle of the decade and into the end of the decade, it's not friendly territory for fascists. And this is what these people are trying to do. They're trying to say, including Putin, the world should be run by a strong man who takes all the money from the people, and then the people just do what he says. That's what they're trying to do.
That's Trump too.
That's Trump too. But the situation is not friendly to that, right? It's just that you wish you could snap your fingers and have
Right.
it, turn, but it won't. We have to hang in there. And, if you're Democratic out there, don't even think about voting for someone like Robert F. Kennedy or anybody else. Stay tight and vote for
His
whoever.
own family can't even stand him.
I have a question for you. Do you have a feeling is there any reason to think that Kamala might not be on the ticket or anything like that? Did you ever get any feeling like that?
Never.
No.
Never.
Okay.
People will write me just a matter of fact. So who do you think Biden's going to pick? I'm like, what?
Kamala, would she have any reason to walk away from it herself?
No, but I also feel it wouldn't work for Biden if he did have her walk away.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like we've got this vice president who looks really good. And like you said, her chart's really good.
Her chart is really good. Yeah.
And
Her chart
if
is a
you were
major
to
asset.
get rid of the one woman, it's like, no, that wouldn't look good for Biden. I
No,
think
yeah,
he gets along fantastic with her.
That's the one of the aces in this game of poker, in that someone like that with that chart is a major asset in November. Major,
Okay.
to Biden. Although Trump's situation, then, I mean, there was one day there when I went deeper and started looking for things that might, argue against me, so to speak, right? And all I found was even more evidence. I would see, oh, look at that. Wow, that's really bad. Oh, that's really bad. There are all these layers in astrology, you look at transits, progressions, arcs. All I kept finding is more and more trouble, in 2024, and especially around that time. So I am not at all surprised to hear you tell me, because this was you informing me that Sterling said this guy's going to end up fleeing the country during the appeal
Yeah.
process, right? Wouldn't surprise me one bit, because when we go into 2025, then the planets start to move to this other area in his chart that is very vulnerable, that he always hates when planets are there. And when you think of what's around them right now, very, very threatening.
And he could either drop dead or
Well, that's the other thing.
Because I always felt him disappearing.
Well, okay, so we didn't even cover that. Okay, so let me tell you what I found with that one. This is
What?
fascinating, right?
Right.
So this is based on the threat to Trump in 24, this year, is based on these planet angles that are health angles. It's called an inconjunct. It's 150 degrees. That's the very thing that took down Matthew Perry, right? For one. But then I wasn't looking for this specifically. I was focusing on something entirely different. And this chart of this man people may know him, Buckminster Fuller. Do you remember him? He was this guy that, a really brilliant architect mind. He built these domes, and he was famous in the 20th century, and he died in the 20th century. So I found his chart and his time, and I can't even remember what I was looking for. And I saw that very angle precisely as he was doing reasonably well. He got a heart attack and passed away, overnight.
And it showed on his chart.
It's short on his chart, but it's exactly the same thing that Trump is dealing with in 2024. So it's very threatening for him, right? Aside from everything else, that's on the health level. Because then if we talk politically, those particular angles are not helpful politically either. They're also very they're basically very misaligned, but the real danger is to the health.
And
So
if he's running, what country would really want him? He has nothing to offer them. He'll probably be stripped of all of his wealth because the government's going to take it.
yeah, I know about the only place where I wouldn't mind seeing him flee to would be Russia, right? To put
Right.
the icing on the cake.
But Putin would have it. Putin has said behind closed doors he thinks he's an idiot.
By the way, another chart that now, hopefully, I'm not picking cherries in an apple orchard here, but Navalny's chart looks better.
I told you guys he's
I
going
know.
to be.
So if why is Navalny's chart looking better? Because you would think Navalny is a major enemy of Putin's. Putin would want to just kill him off if possible, but it looks better.
He looks like what I'm feeling is that those prison doors opening.
Well,
So
then, yeah,
it
yeah.
could be Putin drops dead and the new people take over. I don't think they'll be as great, but I do see them letting Navalny go. Might even be the United States asking for Navalny. But God bless him. He went back to that country knowing they didn't want him.
Well, yeah, he's a lot more brave than I am. I couldn't have done that. I think if I knew that someone was trying to, I mean, he already had a major attack, and with
Poisoning.
that polonium thing, and I mean that usually most people would say, I think I better,
Yeah, I better
better
stay
leave.
away.
Yeah, I better leave. But he's hanging in there, and the curious thing is that you can see the energy improving, as we go into 25, 26, and that's a little suspicious because typically that would mean, that he's not in such a tough
Well,
period.
the fact that they sent him off to some place out in God knows where tells you how fearful. But that also tells you that Putin can't kill him. He'd like to.
Hmm.
Putin could, and Putin has tried to kill him, but I feel it would cause such an uproar if he was killed that Putin knows better. That's what I got.
Well, I go back to that thing about there are a lot of planetary shifts coming up in 25 and 26. Neptune changes signs, Saturn changes signs, Uranus will change signs, and the linkage to Russia is very, very suspicious because I don't see a way for Russia to have that be a change where they take over Ukraine and then they threaten Europe. No, that does not fit the pattern here. It fits much better where they have to scale back and get more real because there was a conjunction like that in 1990 and there was a conjunction like that in 1917 when they had the revolution, right? So there are moments when the country really shifts, but the people that are saying Putin is winning the war, not really. He's kind of hanging in there, but he's not winning anything.
No, well, he's waiting on Trump.
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah.
The minute Trump wins, he'll start showing his ass, but Trump's not going to win.
No, exactly. So, yeah. So any other big things that you've been pondering?
No, well, I ponder all the time. I'm constantly pondering. I know I had something on my mind. I didn't write it down. Damn it. Hold on one second. And the eclipse on April 8th, you don't see this being a horrible thing for the United States of America.
The which? The eclipse? No.
The eclipse.
No.
I find eclipses to be quite charming.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, but sometimes eclipses, like the one in the fall, was triggering all that the stations. There was a big station in of Pluto, but they need the bigger planets on their own. We're always having eclipses, and if eclipses were enough, you'd be eclipsed. It would be a disaster. The other thing too is that I've noticed in my experience, personal experience of eclipses, you can get both. So if the chart links in a harsh way, it feels not too good. You feel the energy's lower, and you have to wait until it passes. But I remember an eclipse last year where I felt great. It's the total opposite. If it aligns well, it's not always that an eclipse, is a bad thing. An
Right.
eclipse is like an energy thing, and it can actually boost you. So yes, you have to look at it carefully before you start making pronouncements and saying, it's going to take everything down. Yeah.
Have you taken a look-see at Lauren Boebert since she said she's gonna come out of a different county because the liberal movie stars are paying too much money and she can't fight that because they need conservatism? This is the same lady whose boobs were being squeezed in the theater and she was rubbing the shank, you know what I'm saying, all on camera. But we need conservatism.
Well, Bober, I haven't looked at her chart in a while, but I'm remembering Sagittarius energy. So, problem with that is she's going into that election with Saturn and Jupiter badly placed. So she may not, because she's picked a really conservative. So,
Right.
so the logic would be she should win. I'm not so sure about that.
Don't feel her winning.
Well, I'll take a deeper look, but on just top level, that's pretty risky. Pretty risky because she's now a known quantity, and someone there that if they put a half decent Democrat, maybe a centrist Democrat.
Or even a Republican.
Oh, you mean
But
like
not her.
in the primary?
Yeah, somebody that comes up in the primary, like somebody will run against her, that's a Republican, but an actual conservative, not a Trumpster and not
Oh, I
somebody.
see. Okay, I forgot about that. So she doesn't get a walk-in, right? She doesn't get to.
No,
No.
no.
Well, then, yeah, she's definitely at risk. The cycles are not helpful to her. No, no, not at all.
I just don't see her winning. I just don't.
No.
I think a lot of people are going to be shocked. I even think before we go into our voting that a lot of the people like Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene and even Steve Bannon and everybody, they're all in trouble. Let me tell you, Jack Smith's going to hit them all with a baseball bat.
Yeah, as he should.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is the thing that, people get frustrated, but if you look at any other conflict, even back in Watergate, whatever, they all end up in trouble, but it takes a while. And yeah, in legal terms, it's always years. It's never a fast thing, because this is the power of democracy's due process. You get to delay. And this has been Trump's thing his whole life, because when he's doing
Right.
if he does civil trials and you have enough money, that's how you can win, by just bleeding the other side dry. You can't do that to the government. They have too many resources, especially if you've committed a crime, which is why he's scared out of his mind. He knows he does not want to be in court. If he's in court, all this blah, blah, blah doesn't work anymore. Then they present
No.
facts, right? Witnesses. And, the witnesses are not helpful, because I'm pretty sure that he's going to get Pence on the stand. So you tell me where that is that going to go, right? And Pence would have to
Hey.
say, this is
Yeah,
what
well,
happened.
I know beyond a reasonable doubt that they're in for quite. And just like my guides told me a while back with the NRA and Pepe Le Pew, they said he was going to have to step down and he would go down in shame. He's going to be found guilty on all counts, by the way.
Yeah, no, and this is this.
And they told me this years ago, so look how long it took to take place.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times with this stuff, it's almost like you're seeing you're seeing a train about to crash, and then you think, well, maybe not, maybe I'm not getting it right. But it's the same with people like Giuliani. They're going in a direction, and like, where else would it go? And if you then see in the chart, like Giuliani, for example, lots of problems. So it makes perfect sense that he, finds himself in a corner, can't get out. Lapierre, for years, has been stealing, and also if I'm not wrong, doesn't he also have a substance abuse problem? I can't
Oh,
remember.
I don't know. I don't know about that. But I know he loves Russia problem.
Well,
And
they
Russia
think,
doesn't allow guns. Remember, he was part of that scandal of going over to Russia and having all these conferences and giving them money. He was
yeah,
an idiot.
taking money from the, yeah, that's just exactly, yeah, no, so,
And a lot of the people within the NRA didn't like him. They knew he was a crook, but everybody kept their mouth shut.
yeah, well, this is the period we're in, and we have to get through this year to get to the other side, right?
I know.
It's that simple.
Fasten your seatbelt.
But I continue
A
to
hell of a time for me to stop sniffing glue.
which glue? Yeah, you're like Stephen Colbert, how he always he opens a magic marker and he sniffs it. That stuff is heptane. It's you probably could get high by doing that, but it's a bad idea. It's not good for you.
No, it's not. It's not.
All right.
All
As
right.
always, this was fun. So we'll connect again soon because I have a feeling now this is going to start to ramp up and
Ooh, we're
we'll
gonna have a
more
lot
to
of
talk
stuff
about.
in the next couple of months. It's gonna be cray cray. We got a lot of stuff coming back from the Supreme Court. We got a lot of things we're gonna need to talk about.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.